Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. The following video will contain spoilers from the Flash episode Monster. So if you don't want any spoilers, stop watching now. Also, this video will contain language of a frank and explicit nature. Viewer discretion is advised. If any of this offends you, stop watching now. Why am I doing this warning? Why am I doing the video without the cute little intro? Because this is the first time, especially this season, that I felt compelled to make a review the same night the show aired because it was that bad. Now, don't get me wrong. Tonight's episode was full of filler, and I've seen Silver Age stories similar to what happened tonight in the comics, so I understand what they were going for, but this is the first night that I really felt let down by it, and the best way to describe it, okay, remember an episode last week with Jesse Quick training with the Flash, running in the speed lab, and she trips, she falls, you know it's going to suck, but she manages to get her back up. Tonight's episode was the trip. It was like buying a Twinkie without any cream filling. It was, which was kind of funny because it was filler, but not a lot of meat. So it's just, could have been better. But it assembled a lot of little parts that needed to be done. Caitlin takes off for a few days to take care of a private issue where she's going to her mom, who runs a successful tech company, and she's trying to find out more about her killer frost powers. We find out also just how cold and distant her mom is, and not just cold and distant. Her mom is a frigid bitch. Okay, I'm sorry, but she's almost like Leonard Hofstadter's mother on The Big Bang Theory, only less personable. Uh, they are sticking true to the fact that her powers are absorption. She's basically a living heat sink. So that's cool. So she's not just shooting out cold, she's actually absorbing it. So that's an interesting change. While this is going on, a monster has been sighted in Central City. Things are getting tore up. But the thing keeps disappearing, reappearing. HR is trying to settle in, but something just seems off. He's entirely too nice. He's trying to make sure everyone gets their, snacks or whatever. Tries to work on team building exercises, but he's just not right. Something's not completely right with him. He eventually does record a little message on a recorder pen, and it sounds pretty ominous. Let's see. Meanwhile, Barry's trying to get together with Julian after him trying to rat him out to the police captain for breaking rules willy-nilly. Barry tries to be friends with him to try to learn, suck up to him, whatever. And he learned that Julian's got his own reasons for not liking metahumans. Eventually in the episode, when the monsters get sighted again, and we're finding out that he didn't actually physically touch a transformer, that there was a serious draw from power that just having to get knocked over. This starts to give us an idea of what's going on. Barry actually saves Julian, so that was cool. And HR is coming up with an idea about how to try to track the thing using sound, as well as to use a carbon fiber rope to snare it, but he never actually gives the idea about how. And then they find out what's going on with HR. HR is effectively an author. He wrote stuff, but he's not the big tech guy. Apparently, the guy who solved the equation was a partner of his. We never got the name of the partner, but he's more of the idea man, an author, which I like that. It's kind of like me in that regard, So he wants to try to contribute, but he may not be the technical super genius as far as for science that Wells was. So that's going to take some getting used to. Eventually, they do prepare to find out more about this monster. Caitlin almost gets locked down by her mom, his mom's assistant, trying to kidnap her to figure out what's going on. She about freezes his arm off. The doctor lets Caitlin out, and by the time she gets back, she's getting caught up on the whole monster thing. At one point, Julian's working with Barry a little bit, but even Barry offering to leave the lab so he can just get his own little place. Julian starts to take him up on that a little bit, and it just gets really awkward. Eventually, though, they figure out that when they try to ensnare, which we find out that with the clever Empire Strikes Back references, that Barry always wanted to be a Jedi, so that's cool. tried to wrap the carbon fiber rope around the beast's legs to stop it, and it went right through it. It was a hologram. But by this point, the cops figured out where the thing might be going. They set up, a sniper section all over this place. They figured out its line of sight, but they think someone's controlling it. But now they think someone's actually projecting it. Eventually, Julian manages to track down where this thing is coming from, and it's a 15-year-old kid. A fucking 15-year-old kid, no powers. As I blurted out, oh my god, it's an Olicity fan. Okay. It had an underlying thing about being bullied, essentially, how he's always the weird guy, always scared, and wanted to make other people scared too. So he created a hologram, and he's going to have to pay for what he did. But, like I said, this was some weak sauce here compared to. I've seen them have similar stories in the Silver Age. I've read comic books like this. Couple that with the backgrounds going on with Caitlin finding out that the more she uses her powers, the harder it'll be to try to reverse it, but her powers are now starting to have a life of their own. Joe refuses to date the hot DA for whatever reason. Iris has to say, hey, look, we're okay, go do your thing, and no, she's not sure what's going to happen. Julian eventually opens up that he was actually a guy that came from wealth and money and power, but he wanted to be a scientist against his family's wishes. He became the top of his field, and then the metahumans came along, and suddenly he wasn't the smartest guy in the class anymore because he doesn't know anything about them. He lets Barry off the hook for giving up the lab, so there's a little bit of humanizing there for Julian. That's cool. We find out more about what's going on with Caitlin, and it's a kind of interesting anti-bully message in there, but could you please not do that with a fucking Cloverfield ripoff? I mean, I see where you're going, and I know this episode was filler, and they can't all be gems, but this was the weak sauce of the episode of the season. I mean, I haven't been this disappointed in a while with it, so that's saying something. I love the Flash. I know there's going to be missteps. I know this is going to happen on occasion, but people are scared to death that this is the third season and Flash may be losing a step or two. Guys, please, if you're listening, please keep the quality up. Try to get that momentum back. I don't want to end up roasting the Flash the same way I do Arrow, and I was tempted tonight, okay? But, like I said, mistakes happen. Everyone has a little slip up here and there. Please do better, and I look forward to, well, unfortunately, a friend of mine reminded me that we won't have Flash for next week because it's election night. So they're not going to put that on. Instead, we're going to probably get reruns or coverage is going to be preempted by the elections. So now I have even more reason to hate this election season. So we've got 2 weeks to wait until we get the new Flash. So I have to look forward to that then. I just think that this was a sour note to leave it on for 2 weeks. I mean, anticipation, building up, sure, but this is like the opposite of that, which that kind of sucked. So, guys, The Flash, I know you can do better. I know you will do better. Don't make me roast you. I will go Mick Rory on your asses if I have to. Don't make me roast you. All right, guys. Until next time, Dave signing off. Peace.